All right, guys, I'm back for our last day in our book, Thanksgiving on Thursday by Mary Pope Osborne. It's part of our Magic Treehouse series, and we are on chapter 9. We are going to finish our book up today. And so far, we've read that they discovered that the magic that Morgan wanted them to find was the magic of community, where they were able to make 3 worlds, the worlds of Jack and Annie, the worlds of the Indians, and the world of the pilgrims into one world. So the magic of community is what they've discovered. Now, we still have 2 chapters left, so let's see how our story ends today, okay? Chapter 9, Good Day. Slowly the feast came to an end. The guests wiped their plates with their last bits of bread. They wiped their hands and faces with their napkins. Jack and Annie stood up. "We have to go home," Annie said to Priscilla. "Ah, thou must go back to thine own community now," said Priscilla. Annie nodded. Then she kissed Priscilla on the cheek. "Thanks for everything," Annie said. Jack wanted to kiss Priscilla too, but he was too shy. "Thanks, Priscilla," he said. "I thank thee, Jack," she said. Then she leaned over and kissed his cheek. Jack felt his face grow red. "Excuse me, sir," he said to Governor Bradford, "but we must leave now." "Oh, but we have not yet taught thee how to grow corn," said the little girl Mary. Squanto stood up. "Come," he said, "I will walk Jack and Annie back to the forest. I will teach them." "Oh, thou does not have to do that," Jack said quickly. He feared that once they were alone, Squanto would figure out that they'd never met before. But Squanto only smiled and waited for them to follow. "Bye, everyone," said Annie, waving. Jack waved too. All the pilgrims in Wampanoag waved back at them. The skinny dog barked. Squanto led Jack and Annie away from the village toward the autumn woods. As they passed the cornfield, the dried stalks swayed in the breeze. They made shushing sounds. Squanto stopped walking. He pointed to the field. "You must plant corn in the spring," he said. "Put the seed in the ground when the oak tree bud is as small as a mouse's ear." "Oh, wait, please," said Jack. He slipped his notebook and pencil out of his bag. It was the first time he had a chance to take notes all day. He wrote, "How to plant corn. Oak tree bud equals mouse's ear." Then he looked up at Squanto and nodded. "Dig holes and put 2 rotting fish in each hole," said Squanto. "Rotting fish?" said Annie, making a face. "Yes, rotting fish is good food for the soil," said Squanto. "On top of the fish, place 4 corn seeds. Then cover them with dirt." Jack quickly wrote, 2 rotting fish, 4 corn seeds, cover with dirt. "Got it," he said, looking up. "I give you these corn seeds to take home," said Squanto. He held up a small pouch. "Thanks," said Annie, taking the pouch. "Thanks a lot," said Jack. "Well, goodbye." Jack was eager to get going before Squanto could ask them questions about the past. "Wait, I have a question," said Annie. "Squanto, why did you say you remembered us?" Squanto's dark eyes twinkled. "I did not say I remembered you," he said. "I only said, I remember." "What did you remember?" asked Annie. "I remembered what it was like to be from a different world," said Squanto. "Long ago, I lived with my people on this shore, but one day, men came in ships. They took me to Europe as a slave. In that new land, I was a stranger. I felt different and afraid. I saw the same fear in your eyes today, so I tried to help you." Annie smiled. "We thank thee," she said, "and now you must always be kind to those who feel different and afraid," said Squanto. "Remember what you felt today." "Indeed," said Jack. Before closing his notebook, he added one last thing. "Be kind to those who feel different and afraid." Squanto bowed. "Good day, Jack and Annie," he said. "Good day," he said. Squanto turned and headed back to the village. The sun was setting. All of Plymouth was lit with a fiery light. It really was a good day, said Annie. Yeah, it was, said Jack. Annie sighed. Ready to go home? She asked. Indeed, said Jack. They started running through the woods. Here's the picture of Squanto talking to Jack and Annie. You can see Annie is holding the sack that has the seeds in it, and Jack is holding his notebook. Their feet crunched through the red and yellow leaves. They scrambled up the rope ladder into the treehouse. From the distance came the sound of the pilgrims singing a hymn and the Wampanoag beating their drums. Annie picked up the Pennsylvania book. She pointed at a picture of the Frog Creek woods. I wish we could go home, she said. Goodbye, Priscilla, Jack called. Goodbye, Squanto, said Annie. Goodbye, everyone. The wind started to blow. The wind harder. The treehouse started to spin. It spun faster and faster. Then everything was still. Absolutely still. Chapter 10, Thankful. Jack opened his eyes. He sighed. They were wearing their own clothes again. His leather bag was a backpack. Sunlight slanted through the treehouse window. As always, no time had passed in Frog Creek. Home, said Annie. She held up the pouch of corn seeds. Proof for Morgan we found a special magic. The magic of community, said Jack. Annie placed the pouch on the floor next to the scrolls from Shakespeare and the twig from the gorillas of the cloud forest. Let's go, she said. Jack took the research book out of his pack, left it under the window. Then they climbed down the rope ladder. As they started through the woods, a warm wind blew, rattling the leaves. Jack felt happy. He was looking forward to visiting their grandmother today and seeing their cousins and aunts and uncles. You know, Pilgrim kids had a really hard life, said Annie. Yeah, they did as much work as the grown-ups, said Jack. Maybe more. Worst of all, lots of their friends and family members died, said Annie. Yeah, said Jack. Both were silent for a moment. If they could be so thankful, said Annie, we should be really thankful. No kidding, said Jack. Really, really thankful. And they were. Here's the bag with the corn seeds in it. Now, that is the end of our book. I hope you enjoyed reading about Jack and Annie and their travels to back in the day at Plymouth with the first Thanksgiving. And I hope you feel very thankful for everything you have with your family and friends this Thanksgiving. And I want you to also remember what Squanto told Jack and Annie at the end when he was leading them back into the woods. He says, always be kind to those who feel different and afraid. So hopefully you will always be kind to somebody who might be different or might be afraid or might not even be like you. Now, before we end, I've got a few little facts I'm going to read about actual first Thanksgiving and about some other things too. So listen carefully. In 1863, President Abraham Lincoln designated the last Thursday in November as a national day of Thanksgiving. But in 1939, President Franklin D. Roosevelt changed it to the fourth Thursday in November, in case there were ever 5 Thursdays in the month. Wampanoag means people of the first light. When the Pilgrims arrived, the Wampanoag people had lived in southeastern New England for thousands of years. They were experts at hunting, fishing, and planting. Squanto's real name is Tisquantum. He was a native of the Patuxet people, which belonged to the Wampanoag Federation of Tribes. The Patuxet had lived in Plymouth before the Pilgrims arrived. But when Squanto returned to Plymouth in 1619, after being kidnapped as a slave, he discovered that all his people had died in a plague in 1617. Since Squanto knew English as well as the language of the Wampanoag people, he helped negotiate a peace treaty between the Pilgrims and Massasoit. Less than excuse me, less than half of the original pilgrims survived their first terrible winter. After that, their numbers began to grow. More and more people came from England. Within 10 years, the population of Plymouth Colony rose to almost 2,000. Priscilla Mullins was the 18-year-old daughter of a shopkeeper. In the general sickness of the first year, she lost her parents and her brother. In 1623, Priscilla married another John Alden, a barrel maker. Priscilla and John had 10 children. The character of Mary was based on Mary Allerton, who was a small child when the Pilgrims landed in Plymouth. She was the last survivor of the Mayflower's passengers. She died at Plymouth in 1699 at the age of 83. I hope you enjoyed our book, Thanksgiving on Thursday, our Magic Tree House series book by Mary Pope Osborne. And we might do some more of those before Christmas break. We'll have to see how it goes. And I hope you guys enjoy your wonderful Thanksgiving week off. And I will see you all when we return. Happy Thanksgiving.